a trauma nurse. Well, at that time, I wasn't officially one yet. I was just about to apply for the job. I was 24 years old, and that day I was going to an interview at a clinic in Tepatitlan, Jalisco. One of those clinics that are well known in the area, where you know that if you get the job, you already have something stable. I arrived early, nervous but eager. I went to HR, the usual stuff, questions, paperwork, what you know how to do, how you react in complicated situations. There were 6 of us in total, all applying for the same position. While we waited, we started talking, getting to know each other a bit, the usual, just to ease the tension. That's where I met Ivan, the other guy who, without knowing it, was going to end up staying with me. He was quieter, but you could tell he really wanted to work. Then they told us that we had already passed that part and now the important thing was coming, which was to see how we interacted with patients. I mean, it wasn't theory anymore, it was practice. Right when they were explaining that to us, we started hearing noises. At first they were kind of distant, but then they became more frequent, clearer. No one needed to say what it was. We all understood that hell had broken loose outside because of Señor de los Gallos. The atmosphere for everyone there changed in seconds, like snapping your fingers. The staff started moving differently, faster, more serious. The nurses started preparing materials, opening packages, arranging stretchers. In the trauma unit, they started clearing space, preparing splints, bandages, everything that could be useful. The doctors came out of their offices and started organizing areas. At reception, they closed off access, lowered curtains, and talked on the radio. It was no longer routine, it was a response. And then they said to close off access and get ready to receive patients because they were already on their way. That's when several people panicked. Of the 6 of us there, 4 left. They literally said they weren't going to get involved in that and left. Only 2 of us stayed, Ivan and I. And at that moment, it was no longer an interview, it was something completely different. The head nurse walked by, came toward us, saw us, and told us that if we were going to stay, we should get to work. He told us to change, put on our uniforms, wash our hands thoroughly, and get ready because more patients were going to start arriving. And they started to arrive. First a few, then more, and after that, they just kept coming. Wounded people, some walking on their own, others arriving on stretchers. Some were conscious, others less so. Most were police officers or soldiers, but there were others whose allegiance was unclear. The clinic became a support hub, a place where they had to take care of whoever came in. And you there, with what you know about trauma care, but never having experienced anything like this before. Following instructions, cleaning wounds, setting fractures, applying bandages, helping to stop bleeding, moving patients. Ivan was by my side almost the whole time. Sometimes we didn't even talk, we just looked at each other and understood what needed to be done next. There was a moment when he was holding pressure on a wound while I was looking for supplies, and we knew we couldn't fail there. You don't have time to decide if you're ready. You just do what you must. There were moments when you wanted to stop for a second, but you couldn't. There was always someone else who needed attention. There were times when you saw someone in serious condition but had to move on to the next. That stays with you. The boss guided us the entire time, firm, not yelling. He told you what to do, how to do it, and you just obeyed. That's how we spent several hours. I didn't even know how much time had passed. At some point, they gave us something to eat, but honestly, I wasn't even hungry. It was more so you wouldn't faint than anything else. After that, things started to slow down. Not as many people were coming in. The activity calmed down a bit, but the atmosphere was still tense. And that's when I sat down in a corner and fell asleep. I woke up to the sound of the sink. A nurse was washing her hands, and I asked her what time it was. 9 in the morning, she told me. I got up as best I could. The boss came up to me and told me directly, no beating around the bush.
If you still want the job, it's yours, but not due to the interview. It's because you had the guts to stay, so...
Just like that, and well, I said yes. Ivan stayed too. And since that day, I've been working there. And over time, you realize something they don't teach you in school. That this job isn't just about knowing how to do things right. It's about having the mindset to not leave when everything goes wrong. That day, I planned to ask for a job, but ended up understanding everything at once. What was that job for? I'm a psychologist. I work at the DIF in a shelter with children who are homeless. And to be honest with you, you think you're prepared for everything because you study, you train, you learn how to handle crises. But there are days when theory doesn't help you much. That day started out normal, one of those calm days when the kids are restless but manageable. It was me and 2 other coworkers taking turns watching the kids, helping them with homework, giving them dinner, the usual stuff. It was just getting light out when we started hearing noise outside. At first you don't pay attention because in those areas there's always noise. But then it got more constant, sharper, and that's when one of the police officers assigned to the shelter came in quickly. He didn't come in shouting or anything, but his face said it all. Close everything, there's a shootout, we're going to take cover. Just like that, straight to the point. At that moment, you don't have time to process, you just react. We looked at each other and started closing doors, windows, pulling down curtains, everything. The kids noticed right away. The older ones came over. Please let us go outside, we want to see what's happening. That's when you have to do the hard thing, since you want to know what's happening. You're also scared, but you can't say it. I spoke to them calmly as if nothing was serious. No, look, nobody goes out. We're fine here, yes. But they weren't convinced. They walked, peeked out, and asked questions. The little ones were already scared. They clung to us. They asked if everything was okay. And you have to lie a little to calm them down. We all ended up locking ourselves in one part of the shelter. I sat with them, started talking to them, distracting them, keeping them busy. One of my coworkers put on a movie for them, and the other kept an eye on the doors and windows. And I was shaking. But on the inside, because outside you could still hear things, and you didn't know how close everything was. That night felt endless. Some kids fell asleep, others didn't. The older ones stayed alert, as if they were ready to run at any moment. And you have to stay strong, even if inside you feel the same or worse than they do. And in the middle of all that, I couldn't stop thinking about my brother. He's an infantry soldier. He was at the border of Jalisco, in an area where there's always activity. And I had that feeling for a while because every time he came home, I noticed he was different. He wasn't the same. Before, he was more relaxed, more talkative. But after that, no. He would come in, say hello, sit down, but he never opened up. He was always watching everything. The doors, the windows, any noise would make him turn around. He slept badly. He would wake up in the middle of the night, walk around, check his phone, and go back to bed. And even if you asked him, it was always the same. Everything was fine, but he wasn't fine. And I knew that, because that's what I do. You can see when someone is carrying things they don't talk about. You can see when someone doesn't rest the way they used to anymore. And I was worried, but I didn't know how to help him if he wouldn't talk. That day passed. Things calmed down at the shelter. Everything went back to normal, quote unquote. But that doesn't go away. And days later, I had to go through something I never thought I would. They told me my brother was gone, that he had fallen, and that's when everything breaks inside. It's one thing to handle someone else's pain, but it's different when the pain is your own. I'm a psychologist. I'm supposed to know how to handle emotions, how to support, how to be there for others. But that day, I couldn't even handle myself. My parents were devastated, and I had to be the strong one. Talk to them, calm them down, be there, say words that even I didn't believe at that moment. And I did it. But later, when I was alone, I went to my room, and at that moment, the one who needed help was me. There were no techniques or right words there, no way to make sense of what I was feeling. Only pain. And since then, something changed in me. Because now, when a child tells me they're afraid, I don't answer the same way anymore. Because now I know there are fears that are real. They really are real. And that there are people who are here one day and the next, they don't come back. I'm part of the National Guard. I joined when it all started, when the president at the time created it. I was 18.
Y la neta, no tenía ni...
Of what I was going to experience. At first, you join with that idea of let's see what happens. But you quickly realize this isn't a game. From the beginning, it was pure stress. A lot of hard work, little rest, and superiors sending you from one place to another. I remember those days perfectly. when you barely slept, sometimes on the floor, still in your uniform, and after a while they were already yelling at you to get up. And the worst part wasn't even the exhaustion, it was the confusion. One superior would tell you, go wash the vehicles, and at the same time another would come and order you, go mop. You just stood there, unsure who to listen to, since both were saying the same thing.
If you don't obey, I'll arrest you.
From that moment, I started to feel everything weighing on me, like I was carrying something I couldn't take off. Over time, you start to adapt, or at least you think you do. You start hanging out with the crew, and that's when everything changes. There's all kinds of people. Some come from military families and are already tough. Some can't handle it and drop out. Some just mess around to avoid thinking about it. 'Cause yeah, we did our own shit too. Pranks, hiding things from our buddies, teasing each other. It was the way to cope, because if you don't laugh, you break. After that, you're not the same anymore. Even if you come back, even if everything ends, something stays with you. You start living with that feeling that at any moment everything can go away. And that's how I kept going, bottling everything up. Stress, exhaustion, anger, and things you never say. I started to change. I would fight with my girlfriend over anything, argue with my family, with my brothers. Once, I even got into a fight with one of them. With my dad, too. We said things to each other I never thought I'd say. And the worst part is, you know you're wrong, but you don't know how to stop. This year, 2026, they sent us for support along with personnel from the Mexican army. It was one of those operations where you know it isn't routine. From the moment we left, it felt different. More tension, more silence, like we all knew something could happen. There were 2 units. I was in the one at the back, in the turret as a gunner. I was alert, watching everything, trying not to miss any detail. The road looked calm, too calm. And suddenly, everything happened in seconds. A sudden movement, an impact. I don't know if it was a crash, a maneuver, or everything at once. But I felt the vehicle lose control. I lost my balance and was thrown out. There's no elegant way to say it. I was simply thrown. I hit the asphalt. And at that moment, you don't really feel pain. You feel like everything just shuts down. The only thing I managed to do was put my hands over my face as a reflex, as if that could protect me from anything. And then everything was gone, but it wasn't completely black. It was strange, because even though I was unconscious, I could hear things, voices, my mom's voice, my friends, music I liked, as if everything was mixed together. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear everything. I don't know how much time passed, but when I opened my eyes, I was already in a hospital March 10th in the afternoon. And the first thing they told me was the date. That day was my mom's birthday, and I don't know how to explain it, but at that moment I felt like it was a gift, as if somehow they had let me stay a little longer. But that same day they also gave me the news that several of my colleagues were no longer there, that in that operation and in other recent clashes against people from the so-called Señor de los Gallos, several colleagues. That's when I understood something I hadn't wanted to accept for a long time, that this isn't a job, it's a line of work where some come back and others don't. For me, it was a really hard blow because while I was there waking up, they were already gone. To this day, I haven't gotten over it. I cry for them, and there are days when I feel like I shouldn't be here. That place wasn't meant for me, that I should have been one of them. Sometimes I grab my phone and go through our conversations. I look at the last things we talked about, jokes, things we had to do, normal stuff. And what hurts the most is that everything just stopped there, that there was no more reply. They also left me letters, gifts, flowers, and I don't know what to do with that because there's something nobody tells you when you get into this. It's not the fear of dying that changes you, it's learning to live, knowing that others couldn't.
Otra noche la ciudad se mira igual, pero yo ya no la miro igual que antes. Hay silencios que con años se te meten y se quedan a vivir dentro del pecho. Ya no cuento lo que cargo, porque aquí nadie pregunta si uno viene bien por dentro. nomás te ven derecho y creen que el alma también viene en reglamento. Y qué raro, uno aprende a sonreír cuando la jefa marca y dice: mi hijo, cuídate mucho. Como si una sola frase sostuviera lo que traigo tambaleando desde hace mucho. Aún en las calles siento la oración de mi jefita, como si en cada paso su voz me fuera cubriendo la espalda solita. Porque al final uno no le tiene miedo a morir, le tiene miedo a irse sin haber vivido bien, a dejar conversaciones a medias y abrazos guardados pa' después. Y no sé por qué esperamos a estar mal para querer estar bien, porque dejamos pa' después lo que ya debimos decir ayer, porque hasta que sentimos que todo se acaba empezamos a valorar, y cuando ya es tarde queremos regresar, porque nos cuesta tanto decir te quiero cuando todavía hay tiempo y nos sobra valor, cuando ya solo queda el recuerdo.
Here, time doesn't warn you. Here it just stops.
Un jalón, y hay abrazos que se quedan ensayados por falta de valor. No quiero irme, pero dame una razón para tener que arrepentirme. Dime si volver es suerte o si es deuda con la vida. Si mañana ya no amanezco, que no sea por cosas no dichas. No quiero irme con el te marco al rato atravesado y sin cumplirse. Que si mi nombre un día pesa, no lo lloren por deber. Llórenme por lo que quise y por lo que no alcancé a hacer. Nos enseñaron a entrar, a mantenernos firmes, a no quebrarnos en caliente. Pero nadie te prepara para extrañar tu casa justo cuando tienes gente enfrente. Nadie te enseña a tragarte el miedo sin que se te note en la mirada, ni a dormir con media alma afuera y la otra media colgada de una llamada. He visto sillas guardadas, botas limpias que ya no volvieron a ensuciarse, fotos que con el tiempo en vez de enmarcarse nomás aprenden a pesarte. Y eso duele distinto porque no hace ruido, pero nunca deja de dolerte. Y entendí algo aquí, que la vida no es tan larga como uno la promete, y que a veces perdemos años por no hablar 5 minutos con quien lo merece. Que no es el tiempo el que falta, es el valor el que no alcanza, y que decir luego es la forma más lenta de perder a alguien sin darte cuenta. Y a veces pienso que no somos tan duros como la gente cree cuando nos mira de lejos. Nomás nos tocó aprender a caminar con la tristeza sin soltar el reflejo. Porque aquí nadie es de acero, aunque así nos quieran ver. Nomás somos los que siguen de pie, aunque por dentro les cueste volver. Y no sé por qué esperamos a estar mal para querer estar bien, porque hasta ver la puerta cerca uno entiende a quién debió querer. Porque hasta que el silencio pesa, buscamos lo que antes ignoramos, y hasta que perdemos algo entendemos cuánto lo necesitábamos. Aquí la vida no pregunta, nomás cobra y se va, y deja frases incompletas colgando en la oscuridad. No quiero irme, pero dame una razón para tener que arrepentirme. Dime si volveré suerte o si es deuda con la vida. Si mañana si me quiebro, que no se note, que aquí hasta el más fuerte a veces le habla a Dios en voz bajita en la noche. Porque uno no reza cuando quiere, reza cuando ya no puede. Y si me toca, que sea sabiendo que hubo alguien esperando, queriéndome de regreso. Porque hasta en el ruido más seco de la calle todavía alcanzo a escuchar a mi madre nombrándome despacio. Y eso me salva, o mínimo me recuerda que aún no me he perdido del todo. No quiero irme, pero tampoco quiero vivir dejando todo para decirse. Si el destino ya escribió algo, que no me agarre sin verdad, sin haber pedido perdón, ni haber dicho a quien quería de verdad. No quiero irme, pero si me voy que no me recuerden solo triste. Digan que fui de los que amaron aunque les tocó callar, de los que siguieron de pie aún teniendo ganas de parar. Y si un día falta, no digan le tocaba, porque a nadie le toca irse así. Mejor digan que aprendí tarde lo que debí entender desde el principio, que la vida no espera y que querer a tiempo también es una forma de sobrevivir. Aún en las calles siento la oración de mi jefito, y por eso sigo, aunque a veces el cuerpo avance y el alma todavía no regrese conmigo.